Hey everyone, welcome to this Quick Start Basics class. We are on number 10 tonight of the 10 Core Commitments, the foundation for network marketing, proven for decades. So glad you're here. I think this is the best training in all of network marketing, and I think that network marketing is the best business in all of the business world. So I think you're in the perfect top of the mountain here. Welcome. We are Jeffrey David Gamble of My Leadership Network, and Beth McCarty, Coach for Network Marketers and Shrink of MLM. We partner to bring you this generic training, the Quick Start Basics, every Sunday right here at 9 p.m. It's part of our generic school for network marketers. Our purpose is to help people grow, to educate, equip, and empower network marketers and create independent servant leaders, raise the bar in this profession. We're super excited for you to join us tonight. Our goal is to equip and empower you and entertain and educate you on the basics of building your business. Our goal of this school is to help you build a strong and profitable business. And before we get started, I invite you to grab a pen and paper because I want to let you know about some cool things that are coming up. Now, Monday through Friday, Jeff and I, conduct the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show, where we cover one of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership by John Maxwell. And this Monday, tomorrow, will be law number 3. The law of the process, of the 21 laws. And the law of the process is about making sure that we do what's important daily, not just in a day and say, well, I did it once, but it's what we do consistently through time. So that's what that law is about. You can join us on that. Everyone is welcome to join us at the Facebook group, the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. And of course, that's a free show. Everyone's invited. And you can actually get a free copy of the ebook to follow along if you want to at the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show Facebook group. There's about 550 some MLM leaders there, so it's a cool group, and sometimes we have great discussions going on over there. You can also scroll back and find all the replays of the 21 laws that we've been doing for a year now. Every day, every weekday for a year. So it's a popular show. People come there to get food for thought, have lunch or breakfast or whatever their time zone is. So we'd love to have you and your friends or team too. Now on Wednesday nights, we do a deep dive into the leadership by John Maxwell. We cover one. This is an inner circle class within our school, and some of you are in that class. We invite others, if you'd like more information, just to private message me about that. But you can actually find the link in all the emails that I send out. So every month what we do is we go deep into one of the books by John Maxwell. And this is actually my favorite class because I just love the personal growth. And I'm falling more and more in love with John Maxwell all the time, even though we've been doing this a year. But it just goes deep within me and changes me a lot. I'm a better person for having gone through this class. So this month in August, what we're covering is Intentional Living by John Maxwell. And the chapters, we're doing chapters 1 through 4 for this coming Wednesday, and that is Your Life Can Be a Great Story, Why Good Intentions Aren't Enough, and I Want to Make a Difference. Start small but believe big, and search until you find your way. So these are real helpful, just life lessons as well, but we know that when we work on ourselves, improve ourselves, it directly translates into money in our business too. So that's what this is about, and all of the personal growth, such a bonus from being in this profession. And John Maxwell, by the way, he says that nowhere has he seen the personal growth be so concentrated as, or I'll paraphrasing it, as in network marketing. I think he's talking about businesses. No business has seen it be so intense and so obvious, the personal growth, and he's been a big part of that in the network market field. Okie dokie, Tuesdays at 3 p.m. for a year now, Jeff and I have also been doing a show Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time every week. And we're beginning something. Usually we cover a topic for network marketers, a lesson, but this Tuesday we are going to start doing something new. We're going to start doing interviews because we want to bring to you other people's learning besides just our own. And what we're doing is we're bringing full-time earners, and nearly always they're six-figure earners, to the table for you. because we want to ask their advice for people who are where they almost are. In other words, it wasn't too long ago, they are where you are now. So it's not too hard to remember versus millionaires who, you know, it was probably a few years ago, or the methods were different a little bit a few years ago. But these are generally six-figure earners, sometimes multiple ones. And this coming Tuesday, Jeff is going to be interviewing Teddy Miller, who a lot of you know, and she has actually sent some of her team to this school. She's been using the favor method, and when I checked back with her, I said, "Are you using it?" She goes, "All the time." And her team is growing like crazy. Her income is about $250,000 a year, if I remember right from Jeff. And she's an exciting person who seems to attract business rather than chase it. So she's going to have some good tips for us on Tuesday, 3 p.m. It's recorded, of course, but if you join live, you can, you know, ask questions or comment and be with us there too. The Tuesday after that is going to be Andrew Eaton, an old friend who I met at GoPro, Eric War's GoPro from South Africa. And he said he's approaching $1 million now. He's spoken on Eric's stage. He's the most warm, kind-hearted person, and he just glows with happiness. I think that's part of his attracting factor. A wonderful family man and businessman, and I think that you will get enlivened by him too. So he'll be August 13th, I believe. So we welcome you to join in those, and of course, welcome to bring your team, let people know about those. On Tuesday night, starting every Tuesday night, but starting this Tuesday, August 5th, I'm leading a class for network marketers where we do a deep dive into the mindset stuff. This class is really focused on the skills and mindset, but I go even deeper into that. It's a private class that I'm leading. It's going to be very interactive and very alive, almost like a reality show. I'm teaching. It'll be 90 minutes just like this, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, but it will not be recorded for everybody's privacy because we're going to go deep. It's going to be live processes that we do, live coaching that we do. You can bring an issue to the table and get live coaching right there in the group and also get the group's feedback, or you can just listen in and learn from everybody who goes. It's going to start out with a live lesson on my self-help method called Real Conversations, and we'll do the processes and then the masterminding feedback. So we'd love to have you to clear out, you know, any issues, blocks, fears, mindset, negative behavior showing up in your life that you would like to get unstuck from. And this can happen fast. As fast as the Tony Robbins process, and it's lasting too. So we'd love to have you. The link for that is bessmccarty.com/realconversationsclass. bessmccarty.com/realconversationsclass. And I did post a link today in the MLM Millionaire Club group. So we'd love to have you. Now the 10 core commitments that we're covering here, there are 10. Tonight we're on number 10. But here they are. 1, get started right. 2, be here a year from now. 3, personal growth and development. Number 4, market daily. Number 5, present daily. Number 6, attend a weekly presentation. Number 7, attend a weekly core training, which you're on right now. You are in a weekly core training of the 10 core. Number 8, attend a monthly regional. And number 9, attend all your company conventions. And number 10, which we're covering tonight, is have a monthly massive action plan. So why do we repeat these every month and encourage you to log when you attend these so we can give you a certificate? Because we go over the basics again and again from different angles, different aspects of it. There's actually years worth of teaching in the 10 core commitments, and I think every class just keeps getting better and better with new stuff all the time. But it is good to go over the 10 core and say, am I doing each of these things in my business? Which is my weakest link, and how can I strengthen that? Now, when you have completed all 10 of these classes, number 1 through 10, either attended live or when you get the replays, let us know, because we have a certificate for you. And we have 10 certificates in all. That means we have a certificate for every time you go through the 10. Then we have another certificate for the second time you go through the 10, and the third. And so, Becky, if you're listening here, that's what I was describing. It's up to you to keep track of which level that you're on. If not, I might be able to help find that for you. But would you let me know or message me or text me whether you're on level 1 through 10. There's 10 different levels, and I think you've completed level 2 or 3 already. Like Jim Bailey, he has just let us know that he's now completed level 4, so he's leading the pack. I think, Becky, you're probably pretty close behind him. So congratulations to you two, because you guys always sit up front. You always jump on the classes first, and you're very diligent about keeping track of the classes you attend and the replays, and let us know that we issue a certificate that we will print in the MLM Millionaire Club group. And we encourage you to print that out. When we do, print it out from there and take a picture of yourself, put that in the club group, because then I like to share it on social media for you to brag about you. So we invite you to do that. Becky, let me know if you have a question after the class. Yeah. It's important to us that you do attend the classes, keep track, and let us know for the certificates, because it's a discipline to track what you do, and it's an inspiration to the other students that they too can be that disciplined and gather that much learning, and they too can achieve the different levels as we go through here. Here's what some of the people are saying about this class. We have people from 5 countries here in the school, and this is what, I'm sorry, I didn't notice who said this. For 2.5 years of not even ranking, after 2 months of using the favor scripts and tips, I finally passed my first rank, more than halfway to the next. Using your methods, just hit a new rank. Looking to eliminate loose ends, this class is simple, basic, and duplicatable. An eye-opener, so well presented, best script. Regardless of experience, there is a single professional in this industry that wouldn't benefit from this. So what we do is 90 minutes of this class, then after 90 minutes in, we turn the recording off and we have open coaching. Although we do have a question from one of our members, which I'd like to address during the recorded part of this, so everybody can benefit from that. And that person said it's fine that it's recorded. At 90 minutes, though, when we turn the recording off, we would like to hear your best takeaway from this class, because it helps us to know you and what you value, and it also helps us to kind of summarize and refresh what we just learned tonight, too. So if you get a best takeaway, that your favorite thing, make a note of it, jot it down, because at the end of the class, we'll then call each person to offer for you to share their takeaway with us. Okay, I've talked enough. Grab paper and pen, because there's always a ton of information here, and I'll turn this over now to Jeff.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, guys. So we've got the call muted out, so that way we've got a clear call. Tonight is core number 10, which is create a massive action plan, MAP, or create a map of where you're trying to get to. And what I found is it's impossible to get to a place that you don't actually have a map to go. So when I sit down and I look at each month, there's a couple things that you want to do and you want to look at. Now, my coach, one of my coaches that I've had, David Bird, that I was able to work with for 2 years, simply because of the production that myself and the team that I worked with were able to produce. We were in the top 25 teams in the nation at the time that I was being coached by him, out of about 400,000 reps. So, you know, kind of up there in the top 1% of production of what we were doing. And there were certain things that he taught us to go over each and every month. And some of these things I had already known because of what we did prior, and some of them he kind of brought to my attention. So what I want to do is just kind of cover some of that stuff that you want to know as you're building a business. Now, the first thing you want to know is you want to know the basics, because if you don't know the basics, mapping out your month really it boils down to the activity. He said you cannot manage results. Results are in the past. So therefore, you can only manage your activities moving forward. And that's what you want to focus on. The problem is, and I asked him this, he said, you know, the key to this is basically finding the right things to do and then doing them long enough over a extended period of time. The biggest issue is most people never find the right things to do. And he's like, I can tell you this from 30 years of coaching, people at the highest level. So normally David Bird coached people who made $500,000 or more. That was his kind of key people. At the time he was building, for 11 years he was president of a company called LMI, Leadership Management Institute, and during that 11 years he brought in $750 million in revenue for the company through coaching. So I don't know anybody in the field who's done that number. In the coaching field specifically, doing what he was doing. Now, Tony Robbins, and you have the people out there who make that kind of money. But specific coaching, that's a lot. And his company was one of the best at doing it. So he said, I'll be real honest, most people never find the right things to do. He goes, there's really just about a half a dozen things that you'll find you have to do. And it's funny that he mentioned half a dozen things. And then I went back and I looked at Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn talked about a half a dozen things. And then recently, John Maxwell wrote a book on the half a dozen things. You know, he talks about it as 5. There's a common theme here. About a half a dozen things create 80% of the results that you get. The biggest problem is most people never figure out what those 5, 6 things are. But once you figure out what those 5 or 6 things are, then you want to master those things, you want to track those things, and you want to teach those things. So we need to talk about those things. David Bird also said you want to plan the year before the year begins. You want to plan the month before the month begins. You want to plan the week before the week begins. And you want to plan the day before the day begins. And I'll be real honest, when he told me all that, I was like, man, that's a lot of planning. He goes, not really. He said, I'll be real, you know, he was just kind of telling this to me. He goes, Jeff, you have to understand, most people take more time to plan their dumb vacation that's a week long than they do their life. I was like, yeah, I agree with you. That's pretty much true. Zig Ziglar said, if you want to get something done, just look at the week prior to leaving on vacation for 2 weeks. Look at how much you get done. He goes, if you could do that on a regular basis, everybody would be a millionaire. I mean, right? I mean, have you ever been like, oh my gosh. I mean, the urgency becomes so amazing when you're about to leave that you're like, okay, let's look at everything we have to do. We've got to get the yard mowed, and we have to clean up the house, and we have to get the dishes done before we leave, and we have to take the trash out. I mean, there is a list. I mean, it's funny that people actually get on a pen and piece of paper and make a list of every single thing that's got to get done before they leave. And watch this, all the calls they make that they need to make all get done. And all the extra appointments they need to get done. So it's unbelievable that you can get all that stuff done. And, you know, I've never heard a person say, well, I didn't go on vacation because I just didn't have enough time to get my stuff. I mean, they get it done. They figure it out. And here's the thing. Normally, if you ask them to do all that stuff in a week or if you asked everybody to do that stuff that they did the last week in a month's time, they say, I never have time for it. But it's not really what you have time for, it's what you make time for, right? Because most of us spend an enormous amount of time doing things that are very unproductive, doing things that don't make sense, doing things that are not moving us forward towards what we really want. So David Bird actually started with this. If you kind of would draw a upside-down pyramid or a cone leading down into a point, he kind of put it like this. He goes, you know, you need to start out with a master dream list. You need to start out in life with a master dream list. And the reason you want to focus on a master dream list is your dreams will pull you in the direction of success because you should have an idea of what you want. So he actually had us do this. He goes, you need a master list of every single thing you want to accomplish in life. And I've done this in seminars, and it's very difficult to actually write it all out. If I gave everybody an hour to do it, here's what I found. I've given about 30 minutes during seminars to do this, and I did this over the over a couple different times over the course of maybe 18 months. And what I found is people were only completing about 25 to about 35 different things that they wanted to do in a lifetime. And I was like, what's wrong here? I'm like, you're telling me that people have been alive 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, because we had 70-year-olds. I think we had one 80-year-old at one point. Yeah, Barb was 80. So we had an 80-year-old in our class. I said, so you guys have been alive for this long and you guys can only come up with 25, 30 things that you want to do in a lifetime? That's it? That's it. That's all you want. And people were like, well, I guess I just don't have, that many things. And, Grant Cardone talks about this in his book 10X, is if you don't want anything, you really aren't going to do much. And, people who don't want much don't do much and don't get much. So part of the reason why people fail to succeed in life is you're getting your expectation of what you want. You're like, well, people say, well, it'd be nice just to make a little bit extra, and all of a sudden you get $1. That's a little bit extra. Technically, that's a little bit extra. That's a little bit extra compared to what you're making. So the universe gave you exactly what you asked for. The problem is most of us suck at asking the right question and answering the right question. We're not good at that. Why? Because you haven't been trained to. So what I did is I kind of evaluated this, and I said, what's wrong? Why can't people come up with more stuff? I know people have more stuff inside that they want. And then I realized that we don't think like this. We think in categories. So all of a sudden I started thinking up the categories that I listed kind of in my head and why I was able to come up with so many things. And I was like, well, here's the categories that I thought of. I thought of faith, right? Or philanthropy or spirituality. There's some stuff that people want to do that's beyond them. The second category was family. I said, I absolutely positively believe that there's certain things that people want to do stuff for their family, and if it was really focused on family, you'd come up with a couple more things to do, like trips to take, or, we were just kind of looking at a family tree album, and I came up with an idea. I said, how cool would it be to actually create a Facebook page of just family and, nothing but post pictures of family activities and go back, as far as you can and basically put together a chronological, order of here's the family members, here's where they're from, and try to find and connect more and more people to that family. Wouldn't that be cool on a Facebook page? And everybody's like, wow, that's a great idea. So there's stuff you'd want to do with family. Would you want to take a trip with a family member once a year? Would you want to have a special dinner with a family member once a year? Would you want to create a scrapbook or something like that? People want to do art projects. So faith was one. Family was second. Third, finance. Now, finance isn't necessarily career or business. Finance is what are your financial goals? Not business goals, not what level you want to make it to in your business. That's not a financial goal necessarily. It could be, but it's not necessarily. Financial goals is like, how much do you want to save? How much do you want to invest? What do you want investments in? Where do you want the majority of your income coming from? And I'll be real honest, if you say you want the majority of your income coming from network marketing, I can already tell you need help. You need severe financial help. Because that, and I was told this by one of the wealthiest people in the business, you should never have the majority of your income coming from network marketing. Never. And that, I've had more than one multimillionaire tell me that. Never. So if that's not the case, you need to pay real close attention to these classes, because if you were where I was, I thought that's where the majority of your income should come from. And he said, absolutely not. And that comes from the most successful people in the industry. Now, I'm sure there'll be a couple people on stage telling you opposite, but those are the people that probably really need you to work hard to keep them in their positions. Financial. How much do you want to give away? That could also be in the faith part, but it should be part of your financials too. How much do you want to give away? Who do you want to give it to? Who do you want to support? How much do you want to support them? What kind of income overall do you want to create? How much? And, I'm going to read something from Grant Cardone's 10X that I just got recently, And, you know, he talked about there's no sort of success, but he says success is your duty, your obligation, and your responsibility. It is your responsibility to do financially well for your family. That's not an option. You create success, you don't necessarily just acquire success. Success is created. Money is created by man and printed by machine, so really it has no limits, no shortages. It's completely made up. Therefore, you can accumulate as much as you want. And he talked about, you know, assuming control for everything. Rich and successful people take 100% responsibility for where they're at. Poor people and unsuccessful people blame and play the victim on a consistent basis. 4 things that happen to the lives of victims. Number 1, bad things happen to them. Number 2, bad things happen often to them. Number 3, they're always involved in bad things. And number 4, it's always somebody else's fault why bad things have happened. Unsuccessful people. So financial is number 3. Number 4, that's where your business or career comes in. What kind of goals, what kind of dreams do you want to achieve in your business, in your career? Like, what do you want to get done? Is there a certain level you want to hit? Is there a certain place you want to speak? Is there a certain group you want to speak in front of? Is there a certain people that you want to inspire? Are there certain awards you want to win? What do you want to do? What do you want to get to? This is the map of where you're going. That's what we're creating here. 5. The 5th area is fitness and health. So let's face it, if you're not alive, it's very hard to enjoy some of this stuff. You know, we were talking about getting back with a group of people, and we were kind of running through this list, and my friend's like, oh yeah, they're gone. I said, well, they don't need a phone call then. You can scratch them off the list. Because if they answer, we have bigger problems to worry about, right? And guys, you'll find that I'm sarcastic and I joke about a lot of things. I try to keep it light, but also, you know, comedy helps the soul, you know, especially if you're dealing with hard times. So don't ever take something as, you know, I'm not trying to offend and I'm not trying to assault, but I do use sarcasm more than I should. So, and that was not sarcastic. Number 1, faith. Number 2, family. Number 3, finance. Number 4, business. Number 5 was fitness and health, right? Okay, so that's the first 5. The next 5 are pretty interesting. I have this list on my phone, kind of keep it faster. And I'm going to pull this up, so that way we don't take all day. Okay. 5, 6. People to meet. Do you guys have some people that you want to meet? Like people you'd want to associate, people you'd want to meet, people you'd want to sit down, people you'd want to talk to. Famous people, non-famous people. Just sometimes this is people you just don't get to spend time with. It could be family that you don't get to spend time with, but you'd really like to. But are there some people that you'd like to meet and spend time with? Number 7 is kind of on the educational side. Are there books you want to read, classes you want to take, seminars you want to go to? What about education? Is there some education that you want to, you know, do? It could be languages that you want to learn. Some people want to take photography. We just drove by an airport and I realized there was a Cessna jet there, and I drove down and it's like flying lessons. And I was like, interesting. How much does it cost for flying lessons? And I'm pretty sure they're going to teach you on a prop plane, but how do you learn how to fly a jet? And if you learn how to fly a jet, how do you go from that to flying the big? Like, I was just wondering, like, what does it take? Do you have to go to classical school, or can you learn the prop plane and then the Cessna and, you know, single jet, double engine, you know, single engine, double engine, you know, how do you move up? I don't know. I was just asking the question, and I was like, oh, there are classes here. I know a friend of mine went to school, I think it was a 9-month course on how to fly a helicopter. He wanted to be a helicopter pilot. 8 is entertainment. Entertainment. Are there shows you want to go to? Are there theater, you know, you want to go to? Concerts? Are there artists that you want to go see? I had this list written down, and what's funny is this one I think is from a while back. So, people to meet: Tony Robbins, Eric Worre, Gates, Jay-Z, Gary Vaynerchuk, John Maxwell, which I was able to meet, Robert Kiyosaki, Dave and Dave I was able to meet, Victor Kaisak I was able to meet, GSP Anderson Silva, Nick Vujicic I was able to meet. So what's funny is this was actually written in 2014, I think, and I've met a handful of the people on this list already. Books to read: attend Eric Worre, attend Tony Robbins, attend landmark forums. I wanted to read the book, The Leadership of Attila the Hun. I have it on the shelf. I still haven't read it. The Art of War I read. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist, I was able to read. GoPro, I was able to read. The Millionaire Messenger, I was able to read. That was a little bit easier because books are easier to read. Entertainment and shows: Deadmau5, I still haven't seen. John Mayer, still haven't seen. Tiesto, was able to see. I still want to go see all the Cirque du Soleil. I was able to go see one of them recently. Go see the Blue Man Group, Cats on Broadway, Stomp, a couple comedians. 9 is travel. Travel. Where do you want to go? What do you want to see? You know, I have Brazil. I still want to go back to Rio. I flew into Rio, but I really didn't get to go around Rio. Japan is on the list. Thailand, Costa Rica, Belize. Uruguay was just added. Australia. I still want to go to England to, you know, go to a club game. I want to go to Italy because there's a couple different places there. I want to go to Spain. I want to go to a Real Madrid and a Barcelona game. South Africa. There's some things I do want to see. China. Singapore was another one. Go to Israel. That list is big. Travel list goes on and on and on because I keep seeing stuff and I was like, oh, that's cool. Where's that? Oh, different place. Vietnam. Got to go there. 10. Here's what's funny. This is the last thing on the list, and what's funny is this is the thing that usually people write first when I say make a list of stuff. This is the material stuff. This is like homes and cars and watches and purses and jewelry and stuff. And guys, it can be real simple. I mean, it could be, you know, do you want an entire new bedroom set? Do you want an entire new dining room set? Like, I was talking to people, and I was like, do you like the furniture you have? And they're like, no. I said, well, what would you do with it? They said, we'd burn it. I said, well, maybe you could give it away. Maybe somebody else would like it. They're like, yeah, that's probably a better thing. I mean, give back instead of, you know, destroy. So this is where it starts, right? This is the top of the funnel, or this is the top of the upside-down pyramid, if you want to call it upside-down triangle. This is where it's the widest. This is probably the most information, and it's ongoing. You're constantly going to add to this list. To make things simple and easy, the next thing you're going to drop down and do is you're going to take this list. Now, what I did is I gave you 10 categories. Write down 10 things in each category. That's a list of 100. So I changed it from write down your ultimate dreams list to make your top 100 dreams list. And I actually shared this with David Bird, and he sat there silent for a minute, and I was like, uh-oh, I'm going to get lectured. And he's like, no, this is a really good idea. He's like, this is really good because people do think you're absolutely right. I said, well, normally you're talking to people who have a master's degree, right? And he's like, yeah. He goes, the majority of the people that I've always worked with are highly educated people because they were running companies and directors and, you know, major influencers. And I said, yeah, but the average person that I'm building the network marketing business, they don't have that education and background in a lot of cases. Some do, but a lot of people don't. So I said, they're not able to categorize and do stuff like that. So you have to give it to them in chunks. And I happened to be listening to Tony Robbins, and we talked a little bit about chunking. And I said, so I think that's what happened is you gave them such a large thing that there's so many options people like fizzle out and fry out. I said, you need to give it to them in chunks. And he's like, he's like, I need to add this. So here's what you do next. You want to pick the top thing out of each one of those categories that you want to accomplish in the next 5 years. What is the top thing in each one of those categories that you want to accomplish in the next 5 years? And you want to pull that over to your top 10 list. This is my top 10 list for the next 5 years. And this has a really, really important meaning, is you want to take this list of stuff that you want to accomplish in the next 5 years, and you want to create your 5-year vision statement. Now, what is a 5-year vision statement? A 5-year vision statement is basically written in present tense as if you've already accomplished it. And it basically starts out with the date and time. So, for instance, it would be August the 4th, 5 years from now, 2024. I'm sitting in my beach house. I'm sitting in my country house. I'm sitting in my wherever. Where are you sitting? And I'm reading my vision statement from 5 years ago. And here's what's happened over this last 5 years. Here's how my life's changed. Here's what my faith is like. Here's what my family's like. Here's what my finances are like. Here's what my business is like. And you're just walking through what you've done in each one of these categories, and you're describing your life as it is, as it's already happened to you. This is what's happening. This is what I see. This is what I feel. This is what I've accomplished. This is what other people think of me. This is who knows about it, because sometimes it's, you know, there's those people. I don't know if you have those people. Those people maybe in your family, those people maybe at work. You know, mine says all the people who, you know, kind of poked fun at me get a postcard once a month of all the places we go. I mean, wouldn't you love to have that list? All the people who ever jabbed at you, all the people who have ever made fun of you, they get a postcard once a month of all that you've accomplished. Hey guys, just want to let you know my bank account now is this. I mean, you don't want to give out specific numbers because then somebody will come after you. But, you know, I was able to get that car. I was able to go on that trip. I was able to get that house. The one you made fun of and said, that's stupid, that'll never happen. Right? Now, here's the thing. I started that list, but then I realized kind of the bigger I got and the more money I made, and the more I grew personally, I realized that the reason people were probably making fun of it wasn't because they didn't think I could get it. It was because they believed they could never do it. They believe they could never do it. So it's like crabs in a bucket. They're trying to pull you down to their level. Hurt people hurt people. So after you do the top list, and then you drop down to this top 10, then you write your 5-year vision statement. Now we're going to talk about your MVP. So your mission, we talked about your vision and then your purpose. Your mission statement is, how are you going to accomplish this? How are you going to accomplish this? This would be a really good place to list the 5 things that you're going to do every single day that's going to lead you to this success. What are the 5 things? Every day I'm going to read. Every day I'm going to watch. Every day, you know, watch and listen. Every day I'm going to study. Every day I'm going to associate. And every day I'm going to present. That's my list. I don't know what your list is. Because I know if every day I read, I'll grow. I know if every day I watch and listen, I'll grow. I know if every day I study this material, it'll happen. I know every day if I associate with the right people, I'm moving in the right direction. And I know if every day I present to somebody new, Getting the stuff I want, that's easy. It'll happen. That's my mission. Your vision statement you covered, then we talk about your purpose. What is your purpose of being here? Like, not on this call, but I'm talking about like overall. What is the purpose of your life? Why are you here? Somebody said, I came for the Pop-Tarts. I mean, that might be true. You might be here for tacos. I don't know. I'm here just to consume. Some people, that's all they're doing. Are you here to give back? Are you here to teach? Are you here to help? I had a mentor, and he said, he boiled it down to these two words: to grow and to teach. I was like, that's good. I mean, man, talk about easy. He goes, every day I know I'm doing the right things if every day I grow and every day I teach. And that was not John Maxwell. That was a different mentor I had. So, once you have your MVP statement done, then you're going to boil this down and say, okay, I've got this huge stuff, and then I've got my top 10 list, and then I have my vision statement, I have my mission, I have my purpose. Now I need to set one goal for the year. One goal for the year. What would be a goal for the year? And you need to set a SMART goal. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and tangible, or time sensitive. SMART goal. And the goal is also written as if you've already accomplished it. Now, you might want to do an entire fiscal year. Like, you could start right now and have a goal. You're like, okay, by the end of 2020. So you could start now and actually have a 150-ish, about 150-day head start. You got a 150-day warm-up, which is about 5 months. 5 months. You got a 5-month warm-up into next year. So about 18 months. So for those of you who are like, well, I'm brand new. Well, it's going to take me a year to learn this. Well, pack it into 5 months and get started January 1st. That's your 1-year goal. And what I was taught is every single year you should set a new goal. Now, you might want to start right now. You might want to start as of the end of... For me, it's really weird. I like to start things like... I think it's part of the OCD. I have to start things like at the beginning of the year or at a certain time. If I try to start on the 15th of a month, I'm like, I mean, I could, but I'd rather warm up and have the 45-day run. You know, warm up, get started, start doing some of this stuff, and then, you know, on the 1st, I'm at full speed. I want to start at full speed. I don't want to ramp up to full speed. You know, that might take me 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 days, and then it's the 10th of the month already, and I'm now at full speed running for 20 days instead of 30. That's just me. But a 1-year goal. After you got your 1-year goal, then you have to look at each month. Say, well, what exactly what needs to happen? I'm going to give you, for instance, if you wanted to make 6 figures, and 6 figures is just a real easy number. It may be $10,000. So let's use $10,000. I want to make $10,000 in 2020, just for instance. So, and it's just, I just want to put something out there that's completely realistic, tangible. And for some of you, you're like, $10,000 for the year would be a disgrace. So, okay, so let's make it 12, just to round it off to $1,000 a month. I'm going to create $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year, and every year I'm going to double that. So it's going to be 12, 24, 48, and then obviously you'll be at 96,000 and you'll be at 6 figures. So there's a 5-year goal to get to 6 figures. So for the people who can't believe they can go from 0 to 6 figures, there's a 5-year goal. You just double. You do 12, you do 24, you do 48, you do 96. And they're there. And just remember, success loves speed. The slower you do this, the less likely it'll happen. Because it'll be hard to attract people. It'll be hard to attract. Everybody wants good people on their team. I want good people on my team. But you're moving so slow that nobody wants to join you. That's a rough reality check. Never heard that one from stage, right? So you boil down what needs to happen each month. Well, obviously, if you need to make $1,000 each month, what does that look like in your business? Now, some of us are in companies where we could sell product and make that, $250 a week. Because $250 a week, obviously, 52 weeks, you'd be all right, basically. You'd be a little over, but you'd be on track. Some of you want to put it together with team overrides organizations, so you need to know your comp plan well enough where you can chart that out. And here's the amazing thing is some people are like, I'm going to get rich in my company. I'm like, good, how do you make $1,000? Like, I have no idea. I have no idea. How do you even qualify for the first level of commission? I have no idea. How many people does it take to get active? I have no idea. You're in a binary. How many people does it take to get a binary check? I have no idea. What is the average person buying in your company? I have no idea. You want to know why people aren't joining you? Because you have no idea. Guys, if you want to be in business, this is not optional stuff. This is not something you can solve with, well, I'll just keep sending a video out. The reason nobody's joining you is because the video by itself, people aren't joining the video, they're joining you. If you're in a unilevel, how many people does it take to get a commission check? You need to know that. Okay, where are we at? Then you're going to boil it down to the week. What needs to happen each week to create that? And then what does your day look like? DMO, daily method of operation. What am I going to do every day that will accomplish by the end of the week what I need to, that will accomplish by the end of the month what I need to, that will accomplish by the end of the year what my goal is to put me on track for my 5 years? It is a very systematic way of looking at things. This, as a D-type personality, killed me to understand. I was like, I can't do it. I'm just going to go out and work hard. And he goes, but you've been doing that for a while. You just go out and work hard, and some of these things come to you instinctual. I'm like, yeah. He goes, how are you going to teach that to somebody who's not like you? He goes, because if you look at the pie chart of D-type personality is 3% of everybody. So what are you going to do with the other 97% of the people who can't do that? And that's how silent I was. I was like, that's a question I never even thought to ask. He goes, well, you better give a plan for the C-type personalities, because the C-type personalities, they need it. He goes, you better give a plan for the S-type personalities, because they like to be steady, on task. You better give them what to say and what to do. And guys, people don't like the just keep doing it. Just keep doing what you're doing. I don't like that one any more than just be yourself. Because what if you're an asshole to begin with? That's not, some people are just bad people. Like, some people are rough around the edges, and then you're telling them to be themselves out in the marketplace? That's not good. You don't want to be like that. You want to be, watch this, you want to be a better version of yourself. And you consistently want to be a better version of yourself. You want to be more likable. You want to be more excitable. Excitable? Is that a word? Exciting? Excitable is probably not a word. Exciting is it. You want to be more exciting. You want to be, watch this, you want to be more understanding. You want to be more humble. You want to be more thoughtful. You want to be present when people talk to you. You want to become a good listener. But being the same old jerk you were, that's not gonna fly. So being yourself, like that, and here's when I say stuff like that, I'm actually talking about who I was. I was a jerk coming in, so the phrase "just be yourself" was horrible. Like I didn't have any friends. So how is being myself and just doing what I'm doing going to help me? Like, that was not helpful. One of my mentors said, you need to get excited. And people say, well, I'm just not the excitable type, Dave. And Dave was like, then you need to change. You need to change. Here's the thing, everything we're talking about can be done. But that was the list that he gave me. And I said, okay, so now I have a DMO of what I'm supposed to do every day. He goes, so what you have to do is you have to check where you're at in this process constantly, and you want to review it again and again and again. Obviously, this is quite a few things, right? So what I did is I kind of chunked it out into bits and pieces and chunks, and I did it over the course of a week. I said, what if over the course of, 10 days, you worked on each one of those categories to begin with to create your top 100 list. And then over the next day, you were able to kind of narrow it down to that, top 10 list. And then over the next day, you took that top 10 list and started thinking about, what your life would look like in 5 years. And I don't have it finished, but I'm almost done. Do you guys remember Mad Libs? Mad Libs was basically where they had you write down an adjective and a noun and a color and a place and a family friend and this, that, and the other thing. And then they had this story that was written, and then you just fill in the blank. So what I did is I kind of took these categories and asked all these questions, and then I wrote, because what I realized is most people aren't good at writing, and this was another thing that I brought to David Byrd. I said, well, you have to realize most people aren't good at writing. Now, if you have your master's degree, obviously you've had to turn out a lot of papers, whether you did them or the internet did them for you. At that point, you're probably pretty decent at writing. I said, but the average person isn't good at writing. The average person doesn't like writing. The average person would avoid writing, so why not do it in the form of like a Mad Lib where we have these 10 categories that we've already listed out. We can ask the questions, and then it just fills in the blank, and you just have to fill in the blank and then read your story, and this is your 5-year vision. He's like, oh, wow, that'd be a lot easier. So I started writing that out, and it's kind of pre-written. My writing is horrible. I had the great idea, and then I tried to write one myself, and I was like, man, I'm not really good at this. I'm proving my own point. But it's there enough where you can kind of fill in the blanks. Just seeing where we're at. So that was kind of what to do. So what is the map for the month? I kind of boiled it down to 5 things. What are the 5 things you need to do, and what are the 5 things you need to track? There are 2 lists. This is how I look at the month. There has to be an initial 5. The initial 5 are, I got to read, because if you're not growing, you're not going to get very far in this business. If you're not learning, you're not going to get very far. Because here's the thing, this is an attraction business, and my question is what you're doing attractive if it's an attractive business? And I don't mean attraction necessarily in what you look like and, how well, the outside views you as a model or not model, or, there's a lot of Instagram world out there. Not to just make fun of Instagram, but it's really bad about it. There's a lot of Photoshop, I saw a really funny comment. It says, calm down, girl. You're not a model. You just have 27 photo apps on your phone, and you're decent at using them. So it's like, relax. But we're talking about growing where you're attractive on the inside to people. You're a nice person. You're somebody people want to be around. You're exciting. You're positive. That's what people are looking for. People are looking for, guys, people are looking for a friend and somebody who is fun and to hang out with and be around. And here's the other thing. You're going to have to forgive a lot of people's weird stuff when you first meet them because they don't have any of this information we have. You kind of have to introduce it to them, and sometimes you have to isolate them and let them grow kind of in their environment until they're ready to come out and hang out with the rest of us. So number 1 is read. Number 2 is listen or watch. Some of you are going to watch YouTube videos. Some of you are going to listen. I like to do both. And here's why I like to watch. Like, YouTube is great because I used to just listen to these people and I could say the things they said. Meaning, I was really good at the auditory. I would hear somebody say something and then I could say it the way they said it. I could use the words they used. Because if you use the words they used, you typically will get the response they get. But here's what I was missing. I was missing their demeanor. I was missing their facial expression. I couldn't see that, obviously, on a tape or on a CD. But when I started watching some of these professional speakers or professional trainers or professional network marketers, and I got to see how they looked, how they stood. Guys, you give a lot away by just your posture. In fact, over 60% of people's initial thought of you is your posture from the outside. It's what you look like from the outside. Your tone of voice, your eye contact, your smile, your facial expression, like all the energy you give off, all of those things people see before you open your mouth, and the words are communicated. The words are a very small portion of the communication. Very small. People pick up a lot when you first walk in the room. Unfortunately, what you're dressed like, how you keep yourself, that comes off right away. Boom, people know. So we went over book, we went over watch or listen. Next is association. You need to look on a calendar and say, who am I associating with this month for absolutely sure? Meaning, this is where your open house comes in. If you have an open house or a business briefing or a meeting, some people call it a business briefing, some people call it an open house, some people call it a weekly. I've heard it called many things. Opportunity meeting, op meeting, training. Do you have a once a month event that comes in once a month? Or a convention? That's got to be down. Association. Who am I around? Are there lives you're going to be on? And here's the thing. If you're on a live, pay attention to the live. Pay attention to the person. Where are they at? What are they? I mean, this is part of the stuff we're talking about. You know, becoming aware of what's going on. 4. If you're in direct sales or network marketing, I would use BYOP, buy your own product. UYOP, use your own product. Share your own product. SYOP. And it's okay to use it to be like, man, I love the fact that I have access to this. I love the fact that somebody shared this with me. You don't have to tell them exactly what it is. I love the fact that people shared this service with me because I love the service. People are like, what service are you talking about? I love this one product. I love this health product. I love this weight loss product. I love this whatever product it is. But it's your product. The last 5 on this list would be STP, share the product, share the plan, share the program with someone else. Like, I know I got to do that. I know I have to share it with other people. These other 5 things are how you go about sharing it. Like, these are the specifics. So a lot of people have waited this entire time just to learn these 5 things. They're like, I thought this was a massive action plan, and all I did is learn about some stuff that I'm supposed to write down. Here's the 5 things that you want to look at. Now, everybody's business is a little bit different, but these 5 things should be pretty universal. Number 1, what's the number of contacts you're going to make each day? Like new contacts, who you're going to add. Now, some people want to meet people off of Facebook. Some people want to contact people from business cards. Some people contact people from leads. But initially, when you're brand new, you should have a number of people that you want to contact every single week. I'm going to at least initiate this with this many people. Hey, I really need a huge favor. I want to share with you what I'm doing, so if you run into the right person, you can refer them to me. Right? We all have 100 to 200 people on Facebook that we could do that with. People are like, I don't know that many people. I'm like, Skippy the dog has 50,000 friends. You can find some people on Facebook. So number 1, how many people are you going to contact? Number 2 is going to be, how many people are you going to present to? How many people are you going to present to? You can choose how many people you're going to present to. People are like, well, I don't know that many people. You could meet them. Let's put it this way. If I gave you $100 for every single person you presented to, and the trade-off is you don't get to keep them, I do. I'll give you $100 just to present all day, but you got to do it exactly how I tell you to do it, word for word, in the order I tell you to do it, with the excitement level. And if you do any of those things wrong, you don't get the $100. But if you do everything exactly the way that I put it out, you will get $100 for every single person, but the $100 don't kick in until you get to the 15th person for the month. So if you show 14, you don't get anything. But if you show 15 plus, you get $100 for every person, retroactive all the way back. So you're going to work for free for the first 14. But when you hit 15, that automatically kicks in $1,500. If you go 16, $1,600. $1,700, $1,800, all the way up. I mean, you can show 60 people and make $6,000 for the month. But you don't get to keep the people I do. People are like, oh, I do that all day long. You would do that for maybe 1 month. When you realize my income exceeds your income within 90 days, you'd be like, I'm an idiot. I could be doing this for myself. Why am I doing it for somebody else? I guarantee I will always make more money out of that scenario. Always. So, number one, how many people are you going to contact? Number two, how many people are you going to present to? Number three, I'm going to go to my open house. How many guests am I going to have attend with me? The minimum, bare minimum, is you should always bring a guest every time you go to an open house. If there's a weekly open house, that means you should bring a guest every single time, which is why you want to contact about 25 people a week to be able to present to 5 people a week to be able to get the interest level high enough to bring one person out a week. Makes sense, right? Every single week, every single day. You know, this is kind of the focus of the week. So these are the things you're tracking. This is the massive action plan. If you have a weekly event you should also bring somebody to a training. You say, well, we don't have a training. Well, you need to create one quickly. Right? If it's not there, you need to create one. What are the total numbers of people that you're going to bring yourself on your team to the monthly event? It's the fourth thing. The last thing is three-way calls. Because we all know third party is important. Whether you do a third-party text message, or whether you do a third-party call, or third-party somehow verification, you want to get, obviously if you're contacting 25, and you're presenting to 5, and you're bringing them to an open house, and you're bringing them to a training or monthly seminar, then probably to get these people to those big events, you're going to need the three-way call to be able to do that. So if you do 5 presentations, you probably have to at least do three-way calls. Three, out one. Initially. Why? Because you're not supposed to do everything. You're not supposed to present the product. You're not supposed to present the opportunity and the product and the money and invite them to the event. You really want to team up with somebody else to help them do that. And then you just look at this list of 10. You want to get people started right. You want to make sure you're in a year from now. You want to make sure you're doing your personal development. You want to make sure you're marketing every day. You want to make sure that you're presenting every day. You want to make sure that you're showing up to the open house. You're showing up to the training. You're showing up to the regional. You're showing up to the convention. And then you're mapping out the next month. There's this many days in a month. Look at the calendar right now and say, what in the month of August? See, what I do is, what in the month of August is the most important? Well, the first thing is I know we have a couple open houses, so I need to mark them off. The second thing is I know we have some luncheons, so I need to mark them off. I know on the third thing is we have this this August 10th seminar, regional, here in Indiana. This is for me, not for you, but this is for me. So I know I have to mark that day off. That day's completely gone. Now, on top of the 10th, I'm actually spending time with part of the team that's above us is actually staying the night over and spending that next Sunday. So I have to mark Sunday off the calendar because we're just going to hang out that day, and we're actually physically talking about leads and training and what to do and how to do and that kind of stuff. And then, there's this 10 core training that we're putting together for us. We're doing the 10 core generic. I'm going to do the 10 core specific for the company and for the team that I'm on. Then I have 5. What is my personal production? What am I going to do Then I wanted to know, what is Brandy going to do separate from me? Then I want to know what the team's going to do. I want to know what leg 1, leg 2, leg 3, and leg 4, like what kind of production, who's on the team playing the game, who wants to produce. Then I need to know how many game plans. I just did a game plan yesterday. 8 thing for the month. So this is just me mapping out the month. I know we have the MLM Millionaire Club. There's a huge announcement that's coming next week. We're making a huge announcement. Next week there's going to be a special, you guys are going to find out first before anybody else. And then we've got the open house that I need to finish. I have the 6 big lies in network marketing. I've got to finish that because we said that would be done by the end of August. The 6 big lies video, it's going to be a funnel. And that's internet marketing. So if you want to talk about really hard, really painful stuff, network marketing is simple. Internet marketing, oh my goodness. There's, they say there's only 3 moving parts. There is approximately 100 moving parts within each one of the 3 parts that they tell you is easy. And each one of those sections probably takes 6 months to master. So you're 18 months in before you understand how to turn a dollar. But your investment up front, average person, $25,000, maybe $50,000 to really get it right. That's the turn of profit. Most people just spend money buying courses and buying tools, Facebook marketing, things like that. So that's how to map out a month. That's the massive action plan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over to Bess at this point. I'll unmute you somewhere here. Are you there?
My goodness, that was a thorough and detailed plan about how to get from our dreams to the action of every day. That is great. And how to make sure it's right for you and it's your dream and it's your goal. So this all comes from inside you and starts with your why. I just love that. Wow, that was a lot. Very complete. And I want to say hi to the people who hopped on since I began talking to, and that's Adrian, Pasha, and Jim. Welcome, you guys. Okay, about the dreams, I think it's really great that you did those categories and that you listed. When I first began really talking, working with Jeff, he got on the phone with me and he read all of his 100 things to me. And I haven't read you mine, but they're exciting. And you could feel the enthusiasm when you write them or when you hear somebody else's. Yeah, it is important to know what we want, because it's like asking the genie in the lamp, well, I don't want much, or I just want a little extra or something like that, then that's what the genie gives you. You rub the magic lamp. And a camera can only reproduce a picture of what it's looking at. So what you look at in your vision and look forward, imagine, that's what your camera will produce. If it's not much, we get not much. I just love that. So our dreams help us. That's where the energy lies in us. That's where the life force, you guys. That's where it lies in us. And giving it a timetable, like Jeff just mentioned, is real important, because we forget that we are on a timetable. We are on. The clock is ticking, and we don't want to be disappointed at the end. So let's plan now and time it out and pace it out. So this is our gas in our car. Some people don't want things because they don't want to be disappointed if they don't get them. And a lot of times they think, well, I'm not in control, I'm not in charge of whether I get them or not. I feel kind of powerless. So I'm going to address all that in just a minute. That's really important, because we might not want things because we don't feel that it's within our power. We're so used to being passive. And yeah, I'll address that right now. It's the victim consciousness, and it's the following consciousness, and actually we're raised that way. We're raised to not be in touch with our dreams, to not forget, oh, you shouldn't want that, that's selfish, or that's greedy, or something like, a little kid might have big dreams, but by the time he grows up, school and his parents have knocked him down and chipped him down to where they're almost non-existent anymore. And it's like a frog being slowly cooked. It doesn't know that it's dying. And the schools can do this to us, and the society does, makes us followers. The school and jobs make us followers rather than creative innovators of anything. And so that includes for our own dreams. We think that we are powerless. We think we just have to, chug along, drive in traffic for an hour a day each way, clock in, make it through somehow as numb as we can, and do as little as we can to get paid as much as we can, so that on Friday night we start living. Right then is when we come awake and come aware. But the rest of the week can be pretty numbing. I think that's why people watch TV afterward, to numb out the work day or whatever. And some people love their jobs and are good at it, and we need people in all jobs, and I really acknowledge that too. But many people are not quite alive. And we're trained that way by our schools to be followers, to give the right answer. How many schools say, okay, think for yourselves, come up with things I haven't thought of yet. It's like multiple choice. You just choose what's there. You color within the lines instead of thinking of something that hasn't been said before, done before. Then you look down, well, you don't fit the mold, so that's got to be wrong, or it's not relevant, or it's not valid. So very much we learn to tolerate life and ourselves rather than create it. So it's really important, and I call this the empowerment of total responsibility. How can we reach those goals if we think that we're victims, that we're not in control, that we just have to go along with things, that we don't have a choice, that we can't create a new life, that we can't set those goals and those dreams, and that we can't do those 5 things a day, or do those presentations of the 5 things needed for our business. Victims are not in control. And it's not true. We actually create our lives all the time. What if we realized that we have created every single condition in our lives, or at least how we internally experience it, that determines whether we're happy, productive, rich, healthy, or anything. Now, I can't control the weather, but I can control how I experience the weather. I could enjoy and be excited by a storm, or I could be devastated because, I can't go out and play, or, it makes things muddy, or something like that. Or I could be excited by the dramatic show of the thunder and the lightning. I know some people just love storms. Or I could be excited that my garden is going to grow from that, or the grass or the flowers are going to grow from that. So are we excited by that, or are we devastated by that? I have some friends who lost their house in a fire in California. When I used to live there, we used to have a lot of forest fires come up and kind of, creep in land and everything. Well, some friends lost their house, and they said, well, this is a fresh start, a fresh reason to start fresh over and everything. And most people, I've knew about 9 friends that lost their homes in that, but these are my favorite people, my favorite friends, and my favorite reaction. And most of the people agreed that the worst thing that they lost when lost everything was the pictures of their kids, of their family. That was the most treasured thing. But these friends said, well, that just makes us relate to them in the present, not as they were. So they went on top of the world. Actually, they became real estate investors and bought like 6-8 houses in Austin. And I happened to move to Austin at the same time they did, funny enough. But we were in a real estate investing club together, and they went on and they did very well. They rebuilt. Actually, their whole family learned how to rehab houses, and they bought houses and sold them, and built up their fortune that way. And I remember as a kid, tornadoes would come, and we'd have to go down in our cellar. Went to sell no equity. Okay. You want me to turn them on to you? They've actually created an organic farm, like it's my dream. They're in San Diego now, where actually I met them before, and they've created an organic farm and bought up a lot of land there. And now they're doing that. So thanks for the advertisement on this generic show. So talking about tornadoes and stuff, and how we view our external conditions, we are in charge of that. We are not victims. We are in control of either life or how we experience life. And I was just telling the story on the live today about when I was a kid in Kansas, and there are a lot of tornadoes come through there. And, you know, we'd go down into our root cellar and have supplies and water and food and radio and all that, flashlights and all that stuff down there. And every time I kind of got excited about the possibility of having a new life. But when I came up, maybe the tornado will have wiped everything away and we'd have to have a complete change in our life. And that, you know, I was excited by that possibility. Not devastated by it, not really scared. I guess I felt kind of, you know, immoral as a kid. And, you know, my parents will take care of everything. And wouldn't it be fun to come up and have everything be leveled and nothing there and, you know, a fresh new life and start over and all that stuff? That didn't happen, but we did knock down big trees that we could play with and everything and play fort and Indians and cowboys and stuff with. But I can't say that I would have that same feeling if a tornado. We've had a few tornado watches here. I live in Kansas again. After living in San Diego 30 years, I moved back to Kansas. We've had a few tornado watches here, and I can't say that I've had that same excited feeling each time. So I lost something as a kid growing up or getting practical, but I know I could get that back. There is so much that we do have control over, like our excuses. Well, I was tired, or I had a sore throat, or I had to mow the lawn, or something like that, to where we don't get around to doing our business or doing the 5 things a day that Jeff mentioned and carrying out our goals. So I invite you to list the things that you think you have no control over and that you must settle for. It's kind of a reality check. And then ask yourself, is it true? And take another look at that. Maybe some things you can change. And it said that if you're unhappy with a situation or that you're not disciplined to get to your business or something like that, if you're unhappy with any situation, there's 3 things you can do. You can change yourself to where you get in harmony with that situation. You can change the situation to be in harmony with you, or you can leave it. So there's no reason ever to be unhappy, is there? You can change you or it or leave it. So we don't need to be unhappy. We don't need to settle. We don't need to. We don't ever need to be unhappy. We can meet our goals or change our goals or change ourselves. And to reach our goals, we need. I identified 4 areas. Your energy should be strong so that you can do your goals and have the energy to do them, or that you attract good things to you, like Jeff was mentioning. So I categorized it: health, wealth, love, and then spiritual. So just a little checklist to see, am I strong and healthy and good in each of these areas so that I can reach my goals and even attract my goals. So I'm just going to talk for a minute about each of them. This is how to equip yourself to meet these goals that you set. So first of all, health. Health, wealth, and love. If we're sick, it robs from our wealth and our love. If we're sick, it robs from health, wealth, and love. But if we don't have health, then it robs from that wealth and it robs from the love. So we want to care for ourselves. And I identified 4 ways. You know, the food that we eat, the chemicals that we're around, the exercise or fitness like Jeff mentioned, and sleep. So food. There was a lady that I worked with, a senior citizen, and she was sick a lot and had achy joints and arthritis and everything. And I said, "You eat a lot of sugar?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, I eat a lot of sugar." And I said, "If I ate like you, I'd feel like you." And I remember when somebody sent me a gift of chocolate, like a big old pound of chocolate. And for 2 weeks I ate that chocolate, and I developed arthritis in one of my knuckles and my fingers. It got really painful over 2 weeks. And I stopped eating the chocolate. 2 weeks later, that arthritis was gone. That sore, swollen, red knuckle was gone. I thought, yep, if I ate like that lady, I'd feel like that lady. It was sort of like, I've been eating good for so long, I just wanted to see what would happen. Besides that chocolate was good, and I thought I'd, give it a try. But that was sort of like an experiment. Okay, and then next, the chemicals that were around. There's a whole lot of chemicals. A lot of people are aware of that lately. But did you know, like, that antiseptic wipes cause muscular dysfunction? All chemicals have some sort of side effects. So a lot of people try to look and see how they can eliminate that. Exercise for for exercise before you do your calls, to have the energy to do them, or before you do a live or something like this. When we stretch, it keeps the spine open. When we strengthen, it keeps the spine aligned and makes everything work, so all the nerves, nerve flow, and that's our electrical system in our body, so it works well. I have a friend who did not do her core exercises, her strengthening for her spine. It should be front, back, of each side of the spine. Her spine, her vertebrae went out. She had to go to the hospital. They made a mistake in the hospital with some sort of shot or medication. She nearly died from not doing her exercises, if you could trace that back. So it was like, when I heard that story, I felt like that was a message for me. I felt, ever since I've been doing my core exercises at least twice a week, keep my spine aligned. And then third, we want to do aerobics. We do stretching, strengthening, and then aerobic, and that keeps the blood system, circulatory system, and the others keep the nervous system open and working, and they all keep the muscular system. And you should see Jeff and Brandy work out. I got to go to the gym twice with those guys. I had the fortune to do that. And I think that reflects in your body-mind. You know, I would say these are two very strong people, not just in their body, but in their personalities. And I think what we do with our body affects our personalities, and therefore the energy to reach your goals. Okay, number 2 is wealth. How do we develop wealth? Jeff covered that. Do those 5 things. And you guys are in the best company in the world, the best business in the world, the best business plan that I know of. Now, I am an internet marketer to market my coaching to coach network marketers. I am an internet marketer. I'm not a network marketer. And it is so much harder. People say, oh, you're doing that because because you can't do network marketing. Well, I have. I've done network marketing, and I've been full-time for years. I feel this is my calling as a coach, to dedicate myself to this, but it is a harder path, you guys. All the work I've put into internet marketing, I could have been a millionaire many, many, many times over in network marketing. But I'm doing something harder. It's my path. It's my calling. But like my friend David Fry says, who's been a millionaire in both, he said the dollar you make in network marketing and internet marketing is a much harder dollar than the dollar you make in network marketing. Probably, I'd say 5 to 10 times harder. So stick with this. You're on the right path. Next, love. Health, wealth, love. I'm talking about how to keep your energy up to support yourself so you can do your goals. So make sure that you love, that you do things that you love, that you're with people that you love. Keeps your heart open, and be with a company you love. Fall in love with your products. Hopefully, you're happy in your marriage. If you have one. If not, say, can I improve me? Can I improve it? And if not, can I leave it? Remember, you either change you, change it, or you leave it. But no need to be unhappy. Me, I'm not married at the present time. I would like to be, to have a good husband. But meanwhile, I have very good friends, neighbors, family, and nieces, nephews, and their kids that I sort of adopt as my grandkids, and I get a lot of joy with this, and with pets. I love pets too. So find a way to love things that you do. I happen to also love dance, massage, and humor. Okay, so last is spiritual. See if your spiritual is in place. When I counsel people, I notice that the clients who have the easiest time have a strong spiritual life. It makes everything easier for them. Did you know that addictions are really looking, I'll say, for God, for some spiritual meaning or purpose? And we sometimes try to substitute that spiritual fulfillment with things like work or TV, overworking or spending, or addictions like cigarettes and stuff. So, doing a challenge can be part of your monthly action plan, but I think I'll cover that another time because of the time here. I did want to cover, before we turn off the recording, a question that Dave Roeder asked, 2 of them actually. When I send out the text reminders to everybody. I include at the bottom, text back a question you'd like us to answer on the call. And some people do that. And Dave, I just love your questions. I think you always have really good and thoughtful questions that probably speak for a lot of other people. And so he said he didn't need this to be anonymous. He could mention his name, and maybe when we turn the recording off, we could even dialogue more about it after we hear everybody's takeaways. But right now I'll mention that Dave mentioned that he would like to know any tips or courses he could take for being more disciplined with his business. So that was a perfect question for this one, isn't it? To do those 5 things that Jeff mentioned, to do the presentations every day, and to do with the 10 core commitments. You know, what if you don't have discipline with that? Well, here's a really, really quick answer, Dave. That's to eliminate the excuses and the reasons that you don't. And that might be different for each person. But for most people, it might be looking at the time you spend on social media and stay off of it, or set a timer and make sure that if you set a timer, then you're more likely to do business with social media before you do your distractions with it. It's almost like a two-edged sword, isn't it? We might need to be on it, but then we go, oh, look at this and look at that. I have to read this person's post and Jeff's cat videos and everything. But it's dangerous for me to go to Jeff's page because there's a lot of cool stuff on there and interesting stuff. But, you know, I might have to set a timer. Do I have time to read that today or do I not? It might be fun as a reward, but don't put that first. And TV. Some people get rid of their TV. I don't have one. Some people have to remove an app from their phone so they don't play the games. So that's eliminating the excuses. And, oh, I got to mow the lawn or wash the car. Well, what if I delegate that? What if I hire a teenager to do that in the neighborhood, or somebody to go wash my car? Or what if I don't need to wash it today? What if I put my business first and just let the car be dirty for one more day so that I can get my 2 presentations a day in, or my 5, or whatever that I want to do? So that would be the quick answer. But there were some other hints in what I just covered about, checking our mindset and saying, well, am I being a victim when I don't need to be? Is there something here that I can change that I think I'm tolerating or putting up with? Are there friends that I might need to give up to go up to better friends? Are my friends pulling me down? Are my friends kind of contagious with their negative thinking or their lifestyle or their partying or their lack of goals? Could that be contributing to my lack of discipline with my business? And how can I eliminate those friends or spend less time with them and replace that and upgrade with friends that are more in alignment? And like Jeff said, learning every day. You're here. You guys are on this class. Many of you are in the leadership Wednesday night class, and a whole lot of you are on the lunchtime shows. So you are learning and studying and listening and growing yourself. That will, could that play into the discipline? So in a little bit, after we do our takeaways, Dave, I'd like to hear if that answered or have any more thoughts or needs around that. But also I'd like to answer a question that Dave left in the chat box here during the class. And he says, what if you don't have, part of the 10 core commitments, going to a monthly meeting, going to your company conventions? And Dave says, well, my company doesn't have a monthly meeting. Guess what? Can you start one? Can you start even a phone one? Can you start a regional one if you live in a big city? Then people can come from the city or from areas around it. Could you start a monthly regional yourself and enlist the top leaders in your company who are there to bring their teams? And can you coordinate that? Wouldn't that be cool? Then you can have one to go to. And if you don't live in a big city or an area like that, or you just don't think you can do that, can you start a phone? Can you start a monthly phone meeting and invite people even not on your team? Maybe you have a weekly one for your team, but what if you can start a monthly one that wouldn't have to depend on location and could have leaders and speakers from your company be on this monthly call? That would be cool, and they could bring their people. Everybody would be invited. I think that would be fun. I wonder what you think of that. And you said that you can't attend your first company's convention. Do they broadcast it live? Do they telestream it so that you can watch it live? Or do they record it so that you could watch it afterward? That would be my second choice if I couldn't go to my company's convention. And if none of those are possible, then can you attend a call afterward that can recap it so that, or talk to the people who are going and say, will you take really good notes and come back and tell me everything? In fact, maybe we'll hold a big call where everybody can share that and have a recap by phone. So there's so many ways to take advantage of that company convention. And another one is to plan to go next year. You know, if you know there's one coming in a year or whatever, or 6 months, then can you block it off on your calendar and make sure that you get there and see what it takes and eliminate the excuses and the reasons not to? Plan ahead, because the farther ahead we plan, the more we can eliminate the reasons not to. So those are my thoughts. And again, when we open it up, I'd love to hear if that answered it for you or not. And Dave did write 5 major addictions: drug, alcohol, work, money, food, sex. Yep. So most of the people, half or most of the people are overweight in the U.S. And probably lots of them drink and overwork. And so this is just, all the addictions to me are not facing ourselves, trying to feel good. And a lot of times what's missing is that spiritual connection. That's what people are really, really looking for, trying to numb out the pain instead of finding the spiritual connection. That's why I'm doing my class on Tuesday, to help people to clear out the reasons, the excuses, the blocks that are there, that they may not understand or may not have the tools, or know that the tools are you're closer than you think, that the tools are simpler than you think to overcome those things and turn your life in the direction that you want. And yep, good. David Roeder does 99% social media for business. Awesome. Yep. And I think we all know about addictions. You know, I certainly have used food to numb out and a lot of things. Sometimes I even have to be careful that I don't use work too much because I can get into it, but I don't want to neglect my health and I don't want to neglect my loved ones. That's when I know I'm out of balance. Okay, time to open up the line for the takeaways. So get ready, you guys, and start going.